Howdy folks, welcome back to Doing Brew. Today we're going to tackle a pretty easy repair, but some folks might be a little intimidated by it because it deals with electricity. So we're in one of our bathrooms, and just a couple hours ago, this switch, for whatever reason, just stopped working. I turned the light on and then went to turn the light off, and something inside the switch just broke. So it just flips back and forth and of course doesn't turn off the light. So I'm going to make that repair as quickly as possible, and I'm going to take the opportunity to remove this old style switch and replace it with a nice Lutron switch that also has a timer on it. Now the first thing we have to do is identify what circuit breaker feeds this outlet and switch. You always want to secure the power before you do any electrical work whatsoever. It's just not worth taking the chance. So our first step is to figure out what circuit breaker services this outlet and switch. Let's go ahead and do it. And to do that, I'm going to use a circuit breaker finder. This is a pretty neat little gadget. You put a transmitter in the outlet, and then that sends a signal through the circuit down to the circuit breaker panel, which helps you identify the right circuit breaker. And once we have, we'll go ahead and secure it. Now this job requires really just some basic tools. The only one that's kind of special is that one there in the middle. That's a circuit tester, and we'll use that just to ensure we have secured power to that switch. First thing we have to do is remove the faceplate and then unscrew the switch from the wall. Now I'm going to carefully pull the switch out from the wall. I don't want to pull it on the sides because you might touch both the hot and neutral sides and give yourself a good shock. And there I am using the circuit tester, and yeah, we have secured power to this circuit. Now I'll go ahead and ease the switch on out of the wall, and we'll start disconnecting the wires. The first one I'll disconnect is the ground wire. That's the bare wire that's attached to a green screw usually. And then we'll disconnect the black hot wires. There's two hot wires going to a switch. That's what actually disconnects power and turns your light off or on. Okay, now that we just about have the hot wires disconnected, you'll notice there the white wire. That's the neutral wire, and we have a neutral wire attached to the switch because we have an outlet associated with it. If you don't have an outlet on your switch, that white neutral wire is more than likely just going to be tucked up in the back of your electrical box. So we need to do a little bit of cleanup here. I need to cut that wire there at that loop that went around the neutral screw for the outlet. We'll disconnect these two wires, and I'll cut that loop, and then we'll reconnect those wires. Okay, so I'll marry those wires up, and then I'll use my electrical dikes and twist them. You want to twist them to the right. That way when you go to twist on your wire nut, you have threaded the wires, if you will, so the wire nut twists on and secures nice and tight. Now this is not required, but I like to do it, and yeah, I'm a novice, I'm not a professional electrician, but I like to use a little bit of electrical tape and secure that wire nut just to ensure it's not going to come off, but I like the extra security of that electrical tape. And then we need to push that neutral wire as far back into the back of the electrical box as we can, because we need to make sure we have space for the body of our switch that has to obviously go into that electrical box. Now that we have the neutral wire taken care of, it's time to start connecting our black hot wires. Now, as I reconnected the hot wire here, I noticed I've got a little too much bare wires showing. It's probably not going to be a problem, but just to be comfortable with my installation and make sure there's no opportunity for a short, I'm going to straighten that wire out. I'm going to trim it to a more appropriate length. And then using my wire strippers, I'm going to bend the end of that wire around so it will loop nicely around the screw post on the switch. And we will connect the hot wires to our switch. And once we have our second hot wire attached, we're done with that, and that looks a lot better right there. Last thing we have to do is connect up the bare ground wire to the green grounding wire coming out of the switch. And we'll secure that with the wire nut that comes with the switch. Okay, we're done with all of our electrical connections. Now we have to kind of do what sometimes is the most difficult part of a project like this, and that's the wrestling match of getting all the wires safely back into the electrical box and getting the switch in place so that you can secure it. Now we're going to secure it with the screws that came with the switch to the electrical box, and I'm going to make that just about tight but leave a little bit of play because now I want to put my level on it and make sure that my switch is level. You don't want to have a crooked wall switch on the wall. And that looks pretty good right about there. Now we'll go ahead and secure it nice and snug to the wall. And we're getting pretty close to done with this one, folks. Let's go ahead and apply power back to the circuit. And with that, let's give her an ops check. And bingo. Lights come on. Okay, the last thing we have to do is put in the wall plate, which is just attached by the two screws that come with it. And we'll get those nice and tight. Now be careful not to over tighten these because you'll crack that plastic wall plate. And I always like to align my screws straight up and down. Looks sharp. Okay, so that's it. Only about 10 minutes, maybe 15 to install the switch. A real nice switch, nice functionality. So on the left side of the switch you have the time gradients, and on the right side you have a rocker switch that allows you to adjust the amount of time the lights will stay on after you press the switch. You press down on the rocker to decrease the time and up to increase the time of the timer. And to turn on the lights, you just press the switch. You can turn them off just by pressing the switch again. And if you press the switch and leave it on, then the indicated amount of time will be time to turn the switch off. And of course it matches with all the other switches that I'm installing in the house as part of our remodel. Hey, just a note of caution. Before you install a switch, a lot's changed over the last 5, 10, maybe 15 years, that this switch only works for LED lights. There are some switches out there that work for incandescent and fluorescent, and then there are some that are suited best for fluorescent lights. Sometimes you get that hum in fluorescent lights. Well, believe it or not, that's because you're using the wrong switch. So just make sure that you install the right switch for the type of lighting that you want to have in your room. So this switch is good for LED, and specifically LED and to power the exhaust fan for the bathroom. Okay folks, so that's it. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up, and I'm always looking for new subscribers. Until next time, thanks a lot for watching Do and Brew. Good luck on your next project. We'll see you soon.